Hello, everyone. It's Warriors NRL Fanatics. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And tonight I've got a, very special guest joining me from the West Life podcast. It is Aaron Thompson. He's one of the co-hosts there at West Life Pod. Today tonight we're gonna preview the Warriors West Tigers clash at Campbelltown Stadium on Sunday evening, and both of our teams coming into this game, well, sitting inside the top eight, which is a pretty rarity of a thing with Tigers and Warriors going into these encounters. But early days, but it's good to see so far. But hello to Aaron. Hope you're doing well. It's good to have you on the channel. It's actually the first time I've had you on the channel, but I've had Rob and your other co-host on here a couple of years ago. Actually, we did a preview, but it's good to have you on here.
Yeah, g'day, mate. I do remember Josh and Rob being on your channel previously. I actually mentioned it to Josh when he asked me if I would be able to do this one for you, and I was like, "Is that the channel that you guys went on a couple of years ago?" Because I remember he added the section of he added his chat with you to the end of our episode that week,
Yeah.
and I had a good listen to that and enjoyed the preview and liked your knowledge about your team, and yeah.
Yeah, it's good to have you on for the very first time.
Yeah,
And
thanks for having me.
yeah, you guys, over at Westlife Pod, you guys do a really a very good job. Yeah, your passion for your team is remarkable. I've seen some of your shows before, and listened to your pods as well on Apple. But yeah, it's good to have you on, and looking forward to chatting about this game because both these teams, obviously had tough years last year, but the Tigers also, we know that they've had a tough numerous couple of years. Um, but yeah, before talking about the game on Sunday, I just want to give you a little your take on how the off season went for the Tigers. You made a few signings. The biggest one was Jerome Luai coming to the club, and Sione as well. Two Penrith players that you signed on, and what do you make of how they've been going so far? I know there's only a couple of games in, but how do you make of how they've tracked in the preseason and going into this year?
Yeah, so I actually think all of our preseason acquisitions have been really good so far. We
Mm,
saw a lot of leadership from a lot of them in the Thrive or Survive documentary the Tigers put up on
yep.
YouTube just before round one, which was 2 episodes long. We got a lot of good insight about what the team got up to, how well they've been bonding. And then there's been a lot of positive stories as well. For example, Jerome Luai at our members' day back in November, he spent, I think, something like an hour or 2 hours after the training session, chatting to the members, uh, getting photos and giving autographs. And he's just seemed like a really good bloke to have around. And then based on what we've seen on the field so far, it looks like there's been a real shift in the attitude around the club and their fight. So yeah, overall, I think all of the signings that we've made, so Luai, Taruva, Royce Hunt, Jack Bird,
Mm.
Terrell May, Gerald Skelton, they've all been fantastic. And we're seeing that on and off the field.
Yeah, so Benji going into this year, this is Benji's second year as an NRL head coach. Obviously, first year was a real tough one for him. Not easy coming in when you guys were been struggling for a number of years. Obviously, the changing of the guard and the coaching ranks there, and he came in. What do you think is what do you think of what's been made out of Benji? Because his first year, we know is an absolute legend of the game, NRL legend, great player. But what do you make of what Benji's trying to, you know, imp- what is he trying to do to get the Tigers to be back up there again as a consistent finals team? What do you think he's trying to bring into the side?
So I will say, going from those first 2 seasons where we won the spoon,
Mm,
we finished both of those seasons with only 4 wins. We then finished last season with 6 wins. Unfortunately,
yeah.
as we know, with Spoon Bowl, it wasn't quite enough to avoid the spoon, but there were a lot of positive signs around the club. Obviously, there was the unearthing of Lachlan Galvin, who had an absolutely
Mm,
stellar season. I think the way Benji talks to his players, his family first mentality, I really like that he's kind of backing the players to be the best versions of themselves. And then once again in the Thrive or Survive documentary, we got to have a bit of an insight into Benji, how he talks to his players, one-on-one conversations with a lot of them, trying to get the best out of them. It is kind of interesting, though, that considering he's so fresh out of playing, a lot of the players in the team looked up to him and idolized him. Like a lot's been made about how Appy was a Tigers fan growing up, and he came to the club for Benji. Taruva and Luai kind of awestruck around him as well, and they're kind of leading this resurgence and bringing that winning mentality from the Panthers. And I mean, while last year was a bit of a tough year, there were good signs, there were bad signs. Defensively, we were terrible after our second bye. But I mean, there's definitely been a lot of improvement, and I'm really happy to see the improvement. I think it's been really, really awesome that Benji's obviously gotten off to a good start this year. It's just a matter now, I think, of keeping it up and trying to see how far this little bit of momentum we've got now can take us.
Yeah, and just popping into the chat. So hello everyone in the chat there. Got Kimbo here says good luck Tigers, but up the wires. So got a few here. I got Tane as well. So yeah, all the Warriors supporters are in the chat, as you would expect there. But yeah, look, I think just looking at your the players that you guys have, I think with the talent you've got, especially and Lachlan Galvin, I've been really impressed with what he produced last year. And he's now forming a partnership with Jerome Luai. So, how do you think that partnership is going to go through to the rest of the season? What do you? How do you think it's going to go? How do you think it's going to gel there? Two different players in styles, but yeah, look, I personally rate Galvin. I think he's a very good young talent, and the Tigers obviously there are some talks. There are probably reports around, rumors around. Apparently, I don't know what you make of it, but there was talks around him being, he used to support Parramatta. What are your thoughts on that one? Because there was a picture going around. He was in a Parramatta jersey, from what I saw there. But do you think you guys can, keep Lachlan Galvin, for the next couple of seasons? Because you're going to have to make sure you try and keep him going forward. Because I think his future, he's got a bright future.
Yeah, for sure. I really do hope we can keep him. The club has basically until November this year to table him an offer to try and lock him at the club before other clubs get to have a crack at trying to sign him. Yeah, he was a Parramatta fan growing up, and he was also originally a Parramatta junior. He was at Parramatta when we signed him, I think maybe 2-3 seasons ago. He then started in some of our lower grades and like after coming out of high school, and yeah, kind of worked his way up the ranks really quickly, skipped a few, but he's been really impressive. Obviously last season, he was a big part of a lot of the games we did win. For our podcast, he actually won our player of the year last year. And obviously he would have been a real good chance at winning the NRL's rookie of the year if he didn't get suspended on Easter Monday, which was a bit of a shame. As for his combination with Jerome, so far it's looking a little bit rusty. He's kind of the flamboyant player at the moment, while Jerome, I think, is trying to stay a little bit more measured and controlled. And he's not really playing like the Jerome we saw at Penrith so far, but that'll come in time, I think. Obviously, the game we lost in round 1 against the Knights, our attack wasn't very good, but that was obviously Jerome's first game for us, and we were also missing Appy and Buller, who I think fix up our attack quite a lot, as we saw in these last 2 games when we've put 32 on Para and 30 on the Dolphins. So, yeah, definitely some good signs with the team, with the combinations. I'm looking forward to seeing how Lockie goes throughout the year. Looking forward to seeing him continue to develop that combination with Jerome. And I think if they can find what works for them, then there could be really good things ahead for the two of them this year.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on Sione Taruva? When he was announced as a signing for the Tigers, what were your overall thoughts on him coming to the club? Because we know he's a very good talent. and Penrith he did so well. Well, what are your thoughts on how he's going at the moment?
Well, when we signed him, I was really happy with it because obviously last year, the last couple of years, we've had a lot of issues and gaps in our team that we've needed to fill. We had wingers, we had centers, front rowers, basically everything except 5'8" and hooker were a little bit up in the air. So there were a lot of question marks around our team, how it would look, how it would line up. And then we signed Sione, and I was really happy with it because obviously we had signed Luai before that. We also have Appy at the club, and Appy and Taruva are family, so they've got a connection there. Plus, Appy was at Penrith as well, obviously. So, yeah, Taruva, I've been really impressed with him. I think the thing that I've been the most impressed with is his energy and enthusiasm. Obviously, you may have watched, if you've watched our games, you've seen his try celebrations with the claw and stuff like that, which has been really nice. And the team and the fans are getting around that. So it's all really exciting. And he's kind of leading that, being that ball of energy at the club now.
Yeah, just on some of the comments there, Kimbo's just saying the Eels will be chucking the bank at Galvin. I reckon he's going to be a superstar, and hope the Tigers can hold on to him. Yeah, well, that's the thing, I'm sure the Tigers will be because they've lost Dylan Brown, and that's a big one. Going to the Knights on a massive money massive deal that, and the Knights will be looking. The Eels will now be looking for a half.
And they'll have plenty of money in the bank since they didn't throw any at Dylan.
Yeah, they'll have a lot of money for sure. They'll have plenty of money to throw at the bank there at Galvin. But yeah, so this game coming up at Campbelltown on Sunday. Look, it should be between these two sides. Obviously both looking to show a lot more improvement than what they have last year, but going into this game, how are you feeling with the boys? How confident are you feeling at the moment? Because let's say if you didn't beat the Dolphins last week, would you still go into this game a lot more confident, with a lot more confidence, or would you feel the exact same?
I think if we hadn't beat the Dolphins, I wouldn't feel as good as I do right now. But I think the most impressive thing about our win against the Dolphins was the fact that even at 12 points down and things not looking all that great, we didn't give up, which is something we saw a lot from this team in previous seasons. We kept in there. We kept hanging in the fight. That try before halftime by Talon De Silva was, I think, really important in us getting that win. Obviously, there's a big difference between going in to halftime 12 points down to 6 points down, which gave us a lot of motivation, I think, in the early stages of the second half. And the fact that we then started to defend really well, we kept turning the Dolphins away, forcing them to make mistakes. They made a couple of silly mistakes of their own by not going for two and then knocking on the first tackle from a penalty. And then we scored 3 tries in fairly quick succession to basically steal the game. But yeah, the fact that the team showed fight was really good. And I think because of that, it's given the fan base a lot more enthusiasm about this weekend. Obviously, Campbelltown hasn't necessarily been a happy venue for us, but there's still time to turn that around. We've got 3 more games there this year, and it would be nice to see if we can go about winning all 3 of them.
Yeah, so you guys playing Campbelltown. What's the you guys playing also at Combank as well? Are you got some games there, or?
Yeah, so we've split our games up at our 3 venues again this year. Plus, we've also got Magic Round, and one of our Combank games got moved to Allianz Stadium for the 2-round Indigenous Festival that they're doing there later this season. But yeah, so other than that, we've got 3 at Leichhardt, 3 at Combank, and 4 at Campbelltown.
Yeah. But just onto the team list now, which was named this afternoon. So look, I'll let you go through the Tigers lineup. Just go through the Tigers lineup, and I'll go through the Warriors lineup. So you go first on this one, the Tigers lineup there, and yeah, we'll have have a bit of a chat on what we feel of the squads. So yeah, we'll take it away with the Tigers team.
No worries. So we've got Jareem Buller at fullback, Sania Taruva and Gerald Skelton are on the wing, even though there's been some concerns around Gerald. Adam Dewey and Stafford To'a are in the centres, with Lockie Galvin and Jerome Luai as our halves. Our front rowers are Terrell May and Fanua Pole, with Appy Coruscant at hooker. In the second row, we have Samuela Fainu and Alex Seyfarth, with Alex Twal as lock. Our bench is Talon De Silva, Royce Hunt, Jack Bird, and Sione Fainu. His brother Latu Fainu is 18th man. And our other reserves are Heath Mason, Kit Lauli'i, Tony Suka, and Solomona Fa'atape.
Yep, as for the Warriors team list, so we got fullback there, Chancellor Klukstad. He was coming off a very good game last week with 300 plus metres. Tane Tuapiki on the wing. Rocco Berry returns into the centres this week to partner Ali Liatawa. And Adam Pompey actually moves to the wing in replace of Roger Tuvaschik, who's actually going to be out for the next 8 weeks. So, yeah, a big blow there, 8 weeks with a hamstring injury there. Obviously, coming off with that injury in the second half of that game against the Roosters there. The halves of Shanaris Davida and Luke Metcalf, and James Fisher Harris, the captain, prop. Wadey and hooker, Mitchell Barnett prop, and Kurt Capewell second row with Marata Niokore and the lockers Aaron Clark. So our bench reads Dylan Walker, Jefferson Ford, Dimitri Famawanga, and Leka Halasima. And then in the reserves there, I've got Tamari Martin, Jacob Lehman, Samuel Healy, Bunty Afro, and Edward Cozy, and of course coaches Andrew Webster. So Aaron, what is your thoughts? Just what are your thoughts on that team that the Tigers have named this week, and what are your thoughts from an opposition fan's point of view? What are your thoughts on that team that the Warriors have made, especially the news of Roger Tuivasa-Sheck being ruled out for 8 weeks due to that hamstring injury? So yeah, what are your thoughts on the Tigers team?
So I really like that we've been able to name the same team for the third week in a row. That
Yeah.
consistency of being able to name the same team is something that we haven't had for a while. So it's really good to see that the team that has gotten us our 2 wins has been named. Obviously, there are a little bit of concern over Gerald Skelton, considering he went off before the end of the game up in Redcliffe. But he has been named. Apparently, everything is all good. He may get rested for 1 week. And if that happens, I'm not actually sure who we'd bring in for him. We'd probably have to do a little bit of a shuffle, because I would have expected Charlie Staines to be named in the reserves to come on as a straight swap onto the wing for Skelton if that was required. As for the Warriors, I actually really like this Warriors team. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is a really big loss, of course, but in saying that, I don't think he's been as good as he has been in the past in the centres or on the wing than when he's the fullback, because that's obviously his best position. But Chance does a very, very good job at fullback as it is. Your forward pack is really, really good. I think that's the highlight of your team. Obviously, getting Fisher Harris from Penrith, massive body, massive winning mentality as well. Mitch Barnett, who played Origin for New South Wales last year. 2 very, very good starting front rowers. Kurt Capewell has been a great player for a long time, and Marata Niokore does a very good job too. Your bench, though, I think is where I'm a little bit less, I guess, worried about your team. I'm not sure, other than Dylan Walker, I don't have too many concerns about your bench, but overall, I think you've got a really solid team.
Yeah, and as for your team there, like I feel like it's a very good solid side that you've named there, and obviously looking out for Taruva, especially on that wing there for you guys, and then the interest for me is going to be in the halves with Galvin and Jerome Luai, and Jerome Luai is always every time he's played the Warriors, he's always he always has a big one. So Jerome Luai, so definitely looking out for Jerome Luai here, and yeah, I think he's going to be him and Galvin, how they go is the key for the Tigers in terms of, getting the victory. And of course your four pack's interesting as well. Tyrrell May, good solid player there. Fainu Pole as well. Coruscant as well is going to be really important for the Tigers. He had a great game last week. I thought he played well against the Dolphins. The bench is interesting. I've seen a bit of Royce Hunt, Jack Bird, Taylor De Silva. I saw he was quite good last week for you guys. Coming off the bench, provide a lot of impact. But other than that, I think I haven't seen a lot of your other players there. To be quite honest. But yeah, look, I think with regards to the side the Warriors have named, I think it's as they would have expected because with Roger coming out, obviously they were going to move Pompey, to the wing there. They probably could have moved Pompey into the centres, probably moved Leah Tower. I don't know, but I'm actually pretty happy with the side that we've named. I like the team that we've named there. With our four pack's going to be the key with Fisher Harris and Barnett, Capewell, and Neil Corey and Aaron Clark as well, who's been playing great footy. First couple of rounds, especially in round one, it was very good for us despite that loss to the Raiders in Vegas. So yeah, look, and then you got Ford coming off the bench as well. Ford had his best game in the Warriors jersey in a very long time, I personally felt. Dylan Walker, always brings a bit of impact as well off the bench as well. So, yeah, and then Leka Halasima, who's had a very solid game last week as well. So, yeah, what sort of matchups are you looking out
just
for?
really quickly,
Yeah,
I wanted to ask
yeah,
you about how you feel your halves are going.
yeah.
They didn't look all that great in Vegas. They looked a lot
Mm.
better against Manly, but again, last week they seemed to struggle with their connection. Do you think you've got the right halves pairing since Shaun Johnson retired? And do you think there's a lot of potential for Chanel and Luke?
I think Chanel and Luke need to be given a bit more time. And I know there was a lot made of that Vegas clash against Canberra Raiders, and I think the Canberra Raiders just physically just outplayed us. Just their forwards, especially they outmuscled us. And look, I think yes, Chanel and Luke didn't have the best of games in that first game in Vegas, but our forwards just couldn't lay a platform. I
Mm-hmm.
always say that the forwards need to lay a platform. You can always have a bit of blame on the halves, but you've got to also have a look at the four pack, and they need to provide that platform on the field, and they stepped it up against Manly at home, which they needed to. They needed to step it up and have a big performance, and that's where Lukey had a great game for us. Luke Metcalf. And then Harris Tavita as well, who also had a good game last week. I think Harris Tavita played very well last week, but in saying that, Metcalf had a bit of a quiet one in that game. So he only made 2 runs in that game. You want to see if Metcalf's biggest strength is running when he runs with the ball. If he runs with the ball, he's a constant threat in attack as well. So, I
I agree
saw
with that.
Metcalf and Harris Tavita, in the trials, and I know it was only pre-season, but they were performing. They were doing pretty well as a combination. I thought. So yeah, I know there's a lot made about Tamari Martin at the moment because he's been killing it for our cup side, New South Wales Cup side. But at the moment, I think right now, I think you've got to stick with those two at the moment, and give them a bit of time. And look, if it doesn't gel over the next couple of weeks, then maybe shift Tamari back into the side, play him in the halves with Luke Metcalf. But yeah, at the moment, I'd give them a bit more time to work their way through it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of interesting sometimes when you've got a 7 whose greatest strength is their running game, because normally that sort of player would be your number 6. But I do think there's a lot of potential with Luke. He just hasn't really found it yet. Obviously, being a bit of an understudy to Shaun Johnson is probably one of the best players to be an understudy to, and he would have learnt a lot from Shaun. I think he played a bit of 6 last year as Shaun's apprentice, didn't he?
Yeah. They both played. They didn't play a lot together, but when they played a lot, both played together. They were a solid combination because the thing is when Luke was playing with Johnson, he only had a couple of games and then he was injured. and that was the thing. He had a few injuries. He's had a few injuries since he's been with us. We've not been able to see him because he got consistently on the field each week. So yeah, that's the thing with Luke is it's important for him to stay fully fit throughout the whole season because unfortunately we haven't gotten to see a lot of him play in first grade. And look, he hasn't played a lot of seven. He needs to be given a bit more time. It's not a straightforward a straightforward you know working is not going to be straightforward for him. So like I said, he was good against Manly, but obviously last week it wasn't. Was probably one of his quietest games, but it's going to take a bit of time. That's just the way I
Yeah, for
feel about
sure.
it. Yeah, and yeah, ESCO is saying here. I hope it's it's going to take a little bit more time for Luke to click into gear. Tahi Bro, just one of the mods in the chat. Hello to Tahi Bro, good to see you. Saying it was a slugfest last week. Young Hogs need time and space to do their magic. Yeah, they definitely do. And this comment here, Aaron, what's your thoughts on Benji as a coach?
I think Benji's got a lot of potential as a coach. We obviously
Yeah.
haven't been able to see the best of him yet because last
Mm.
season was a little bit of a struggle. But in saying that, I love his mentality when it comes to family first for his players. He wants his players to support their families if they need to, and then in doing that, they'll do their best for him on the field, which is something that Jerome has come out and said in an interview in the preseason. I really like that Benji gets along so well with the players. He can talk one-on-one with them. I think he's got a lot of potential as a coach. Looking forward to seeing how he continues to develop.
Yeah, and look, I love Benji. I love to see him do well. And I would love to see the Tigers do well actually, because the teams like the Tigers, your Dragons, your Knights, all those sort of teams. I personally love to see those teams do well, and of course my boys, the Warriors. So it's always great when it's for the competition. It's always great to have those sort of teams, do well and be up there, sort of challenging, instead of being put down that bottom half of the ladder. So.
Yeah, clubs with big supporter bases who've been struggling for a while. It is nice to see when some of them are able to turn things around. Obviously, the Warriors have a whole country behind them, so very easy to have a big supporter base in that regard, even though they've got to fight with the rugby union a little bit. But seeing last year how Mount Smart Stadium got packed out and sold out for every game, I was really happy for the team. It's a shame the results weren't coming on the field, but I think that was off the back. The crowds last year were off the back of a couple of years ago where you made that run all the way to the prelim. It was
Yeah.
just a shame you guys couldn't back it up last year. But yeah, I kind of adopted the Warriors as a bit of my second team around the COVID times when they came to Australia and basically bunkered down in the country for multiple seasons. I thought that was a really good thing of the club to do, like the organization to do. Obviously, it takes them away from their families for such a long time just to keep the competition going. And obviously, really grateful to the club for doing that. And I think the club, the management, the players, the coaches, everyone around the club for that long deserves a lot of recognition. And then I remember your first game after all the COVID stuff back in New Zealand was against us. So your big homecoming was against the Tigers in 2022, I think it might have been.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a. I know that day was a very emotional, ride for Warriors fans, especially being back at home, and it was one of those, finally moments because we've been away for so long, and yeah, it was like
Yep.
it was one of those.
You absolutely crushed us too. I remember that.
Oh, yeah, we crushed yous, we crushed yous, and I know that year. Well, you guys were going through a lot as well as a club, but
Yep.
you know, you guys were going through tough results and off-field stuff, and obviously, as I know, Tigers fans are sick of the same old off-field stuff and stuff behind the scenes and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, like Tahi's just saying here, I could tell the Tigers are growing in the right direction. Bought nice over the last few seasons at developing confidence. And yeah, well, what are your thoughts on that comment there? Because I think you guys look. I feel the future is sort of bright for you guys. And look, you may have won the spoon last year and didn't win as many games, but I feel like the future's definitely on the up for the Tigers moving forward. What do you feel? How do you feel about that?
So the way I look at that is we look at the clubs that all the players we signed last year, what teams they
Mm.
came from. So obviously we had the two Penrith guys come over, a 4-time premier and a 2-time premier. We
Yes.
bought over Terrell May from the Roosters, who made the prelim. We bought Royce Hunt over from the
Mm.
Sharks, who made prelim as well. We bought Jarrell Skelton from the Bulldogs, who made the first week of the finals. And we bought over Jack Bird from the Dragons, who only just missed out on the finals. I think they finished like 9th or 10th or something. So it the main thing we did was we brought over winners. We brought over players from winning clubs with winning cultures, and that seems to have rubbed off on our players a lot. Um, Jerome Luai, basically, with his kicking game when we were down last week, decided to put the team on his back with his kicking game to get our players into better positions, to get Sam Weller into the position where he could make that hit on Jack Bostock, which forced an error when we were down 6, basically right on their goal line, and then Appy was able to work his magic from there. So the fact that we've brought winners over who've brought that winning mentality with them, and the fact that that's rubbing off on the players we've had at the club for a longer time has been the most exciting thing to me. And that confidence, we're starting to see that confidence now. Um, I think in seasons past, last week, we would have dropped our heads when things started to really go against us and kind of just fall out of the fight. But
Yeah.
last week, we didn't fall out of the fight. We stayed in there. We hung in there. We eventually got what we needed, ran over the top of them, and finished really strong.
Yeah, and that's the thing I've noticed with your games so far, and what I've watched them from a neutral point of view is that you guys I know in the past couple of years you guys have been in games where once it goes against you, you're not allowed. It goes really bad. It goes really sour real quickly. But last week against the Dolphins, the Dolphins, going to that game, I know they weren't great the first couple of weeks, but they still had a very good side on the field, and and they're at home, at Redcliffe, and they needed themselves to get a win as well, and they had a pretty good solid start, and then usually in the past with the Tigers is once a team gets off to a good start against them, they don't seem to be able to recover. And that's what I like, and that's what I like. What I saw was that you guys showed some fighting effort. It was something that we've seen from Tigers a couple of years ago. When when you guys were in your glory days, making finals and obviously winning that premiership a couple of years ago, but. Yeah, like what Tahi's saying here with the 4 pack, it's coming along strongly. It's coming along nicely, and the halves look beautiful as a new Unity will improve throughout the whole season as a real nice spine as well. So yeah, and that's the thing. Your spine's only young. It's only going to develop and improve, and obviously with Luai, he brings that so much experience. He is such an important player, and he's come from a real winning mentality club in Penrith. Being coached by Ivan Cleary as well. So yeah, I think that's a very good comment that Tahi's made in regards to your side and the 4 pack as well. It's well, what do you make out of your 4 pack there? Like the ones you've named here to start this game. What are your overall thoughts on the players that you have here lining up?
So I really like our starting forward pack. Our
Mm.
props, our starting props, Terrell May and Fainu Pole, have both had really good starts to the season. Terrell is just an absolute unit of a man with the minutes that he's been playing so far. Pole had his best game of the season last week against the Dolphins. Samuela Fainu also had a really good debut season for us last year. He obviously debuted when he was in the NRL when he was at Manly, but considering last year was his first season for us, I thought he was really, really good. He won our Player of the Year, or the club's Player of the Year. So that kind of shows the impact he had and what the coaches thought of him. The only real question marks that a lot of people have about our team or about our forward pack is Alex Seyfarth, considering
Mm.
he normally plays off the bench. and Alex Twal, who seems to be an interesting decision at lock, considering in recent seasons he hasn't really had that much of an attacking game, and he's often been a bench forward too. But so far, I actually think both Alexes have been playing really well. Alex Twal can move from lock into the forward pack to replace Fainu Apole sometimes when when Jack Bird comes onto the field in the lock position. Seyfarth, while he hasn't been spectacular this season, he's kind of one of those players like Alex Twal that will go out there and will do a job. Like Alex Twal, defensively especially, is very tough to get past. He hasn't missed a single tackle so far in the 3 games. He's had a couple of ineffective tackles, but he hasn't missed one. So he's been really strong defensively, which contributes to the fact that the team has been so strong defensively.
Yeah, and on Royce Hunt, well, what's your thoughts on how many minutes do you think he's gonna get off the bench here? You've got and then Talon De Silva as well, who I thought he was, just the way he played last week against the Dolphins. His impact he brought to the table as well. So, how many minutes do you think that the likes of Royce Hunt and Jack Bird are gonna get on the field for this game?
So Royce Hunt doesn't tend to play big minutes. I think so far this season he's played 25 to 30 minutes in all 3 games, but those minutes have all been really good quality. Some really good runs off the back fence from dropouts or kickoffs and stuff like that. He's really good at making his tackles. He's got a good offload game. He's a big body, so he's able to make some good post-contact meters. So we'll probably get about the same from him. And usually I think Talon De Silva kind of depends on how Appy's going. Appy might play 30 minutes or so in the first half, have a bit of a rest with Talon coming on. Talon could play 20 to 25 minutes. Sometimes he may stay out there when Appy comes back on the field, or sometimes it'll be a straight swap and he'll go back off again. But I really like the impact from both of those guys. Jack Bird, I think once Jack Bird comes on, he stays on for the rest of the game because he's got a motor in him as well. And he's also, I think, got a lot to prove. So he might come on after 20 to 25 minutes, potentially play out the rest of the game. And then Sione Fainu, we haven't seen many minutes from him so far. Basically, I think what Benji's done with him so far is brought him on when Terrell May's gone off. So he's played 15 to 20 minutes, I think, in these games, basically as a late game front rower who can come on and do the job when Terrell goes off and gets his well-deserved rest after he plays all his minutes.
Yeah. Tay's made a comment here in regards to De Silva is learning a lot from Alpi, Hunt's pure impact. So yeah, and then Tons is saying here who's Alpi's played about, I think she meant Hunt. Played, yeah, she put Hunt there. Played about 32 minutes in the first half, and came on after 30. So yeah, that's well, what are your thoughts on that one there?
Yeah, so I think the important thing for Talon is who he's had at the club to learn his game from. Obviously, he's got Appy there, who is a very, very good number 9 and could potentially be the New South Wales number 9 again this year if he keeps up his good form. And then not to forget that he also had Robbie Farah as one of the coaches there last year. So the ability to learn off a player like Robbie, who's been there and done that for as long as he did, was also really, really good for him. I really like what Talon's doing. He's probably got to try and work his way up to being an 80-minute player or close to an 80-minute player once Appy retires, because Appy's maybe only got a year or 2 left after this year, considering his age, considering the fact that he's a hooker, which is a very challenging position to play as players get older. But, I mean, they're both doing a really good job. They're both working as a really good partnership. One comes off, the other goes on, and they add a lot to our attack, especially Appy. We definitely missed him in that game against the Knights in round 1.
Yeah, what can you tell me about Sione Fainu? What does he bring to the side? I see he's been named in that 17 jersey. So what does he bring to you guys? There.
Yeah, so similarly to Royce Hunt, he has really good impact. He doesn't tend to play
Yeah.
a lot of minutes, but he is a big enough body and he can basically hold down the fort in those
Mm,
later stages of the game if that's the first time he comes on. Because obviously by then you've got some forwards around the rest of the field who are probably starting to tire a little bit. And he comes on and he's able to do a little bit of work there. He's also got a really solid offload game, being the older brother of Latu and Samuela as well. There's a lot of family connection there. And I think, yeah, he's just another really good impact player. I wasn't actually expecting him to be our number 17 or be on our bench this season, but he obviously really impressed Benji and the rest of the coaches over the preseason to earn that jersey. And so far, I think he's doing a pretty good job.
yeah. So key matchups. What if you're looking at a key matchup maybe that you guys can is going to be the most important for you guys to get that to get the result. What are you saying here? Like in terms of a matchup you're excited to watch on Sunday.
I think our forward pack really needs to. Sorry, I'm just having a few pop ups on my phone. Not my phone, my
Oh,
laptop repeatedly. I'm just trying to get rid of them. But
yeah.
I think our forward pack needs to kind of outwork yours. We really need to see a lot more from them. Well, not a lot more from them based on what we're seeing now, but they need to
Mm,
basically out meter your forwards because if your forwards give your halves the platform that they can give them, then that will spell danger signs for us. I'm a little bit concerned about some of our matchups on the wings. I can't say I've seen too much of Rocco Berry, but I know Tane and Adam are very good wingers and will definitely catch us napping if we're not careful. Ali Leotawa, I think, has been really solid for you guys this year, and there could be a little bit of a mismatch there between him and Adam Dewey. Stafford Toa, I think, has been really good defensively. So if he's able to hold down the fort with Gerald, then we might be able to nullify you guys. And then we just need to make sure we shut up Luke and Chanel's running game, force them into kicking a lot more, which will allow our forwards and our backs
mm,
to kind of work their way around the field a little bit better.
yeah, yeah, and Tahi's just saying it's going to be a war either way as long as it doesn't blow out. It'll be a great show. And yeah, saying here Dowledge saying here who lays the better platform for their roles wins the game, and yeah, absolutely, that's for sure. I think that's pretty much what. And I look at our four pack. If our four pack lays, that sort of foundation there with Fisher Harris, Barnett, and Capewell and Niokoro, and then you got Clark as well. If they have especially Clark, if he has another big game, it's going to be good positive thing for us. And of course with Fisher Harris and Barnett, they just lay that sort of platform. They bring that experience as well. So no, I think our four pack for me is probably going to be the most key to getting this win on Sunday. And
I think for you guys, if you guys
yeah,
can't stop Appy from running the ball, if you
yeah.
can't stop Appy from getting on the front foot, you're going to find it very hard to win. So I definitely agree with that comment
Mm.
by Dull Edge.
Yes, yeah, exactly right. Obviously, if we can stop, Appy's impact, that'll go a long way for us as well. To make it less impactful for the Tigers, to find their way to get points. And Coruscant's the key. I think Coruscant's the key for you guys. He's definitely going to be the key player because, what he produces. We see what he does when he was with Penrith. He's going to be so important for you guys moving forward for me. But yeah, I think besides that, and then you look at the bench. Who do you think's got the better bench? would you say? If you look at you guys' bench, compare it to our bench, I think it's pretty even. I'm going to say it's even for me. But yeah, what do you think there?
I'd say, trying not to be biased here, I'd say
Mm,
maybe us, but only just. Because you've got two really good players on that bench in Dylan Walker and Jackson Ford. Both of them do a very good job. But Dimitri Vayamunga and Lika Halasima are rather inexperienced, I think. And that kind of, we also have two inexperienced players on our bench in Talon and Sione.
yes.
But we've also got Royce and Jack, who are very well experienced, know what jobs they need to do when they come on the field.
Mm.
So in that regard, I'd say us, but only just.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going through these comments. So Jazz is just hello to Jazz. Good to see you in the chat there. Saying yeah, some people are saying it's even. Tuggy Bro's saying that Tyrrell and Fish is worth the price of admission alone.
That's a
Um,
very good battle there between those two.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely is going to be a good battle between those players. And then you got Egan versus Appy as well. And Wade is having a very good start to the season. Actually, his last two games we've seen him run a lot more with the ball, and he's looked very threatening as well. From dummy half. So Egan. So if Egan's playing well, it's only good thing for us as well moving forward. From my point of view there. So. Yeah, pretty even. Yeah. So yeah. Now, just lastly, how confident are you now about this getting this result? So, look, I think this could be. I think this is going to be a bit of a close game between these two sides. I think it's going to be really competitive. I don't see it being high scoring. I don't see it being too high scoring. I don't know what the weather's like in Sydney on Sunday at Campbelltown. There.
There is
Aaron, I
about,
don't know.
I think there's a 40% chance of rain. Top of
Right.
22, 40%
Mm,
chance of rain. So it could be a little bit of a wet game, but maybe not. So there's a little bit of a question mark there.
yep. So first things, what is the key to victory for the Tigers and getting this result, and what is going to be the most key thing for you to see the boys make that less impactful for the Warriors, just a way to get points. So yeah, well, what is the key there for you guys to get this result?
So I think the main thing for us is if we can get Appy running from dummy half, and if he can combine
Mm,
well with Buller, Galvin, and Luai, if we can get our guys on the front foot to put in a few more attacking kicks, then some of your backs might struggle a little bit to kind of keep up with us in that regard. I think that's probably the key for us. In regards to stopping you guys, we need to prevent your offload game because Fish
yeah.
and Barnett, both very good offloaders of the ball. Capewell and Niokore are as well. So if we can wrap the ball up and prevent you guys from getting some second phase footy, I think that will go a long way to us winning the game too.
Yeah, and look, I think the key for us in terms of the game is for me, like just backing up from what we did last week, in terms of our forwards, laying a bit of a platform for our halves to do the job, and of course our outside backs who can have that threatening game with the likes of Leah Tower, and Tane and Chance Cookstad as well, who ran for like 300 meters last week. It was a big performance by Chance, especially. So I know there's lots been made of Chance going into the season. Lots of talks around, should he be moved out of that fullback spot? Should Tane be fullback? But he's actually answered those questions with that performance last week. So
Yeah, he's doing a
yeah,
really good job.
yeah, he's doing a great job, and it's great to see that pull up that. And there was his 50th game for the Warriors last week, milestone game as well. So pretty fitting there. But yeah, Aaron, what can I get your prediction, a score prediction, and yeah, how much do you think the boys are going to win by? Your boys going to win by, in a try score. How do you think it's going to go?
All right. So this is one of those games where, based on the teams both being in pretty good form, it's one of those
Mm,
games where I'd likely pick the home team. Obviously, Campbelltown is a tough trip for the Warriors because you've got to come into Sydney and then head out to Campbelltown, whereas us, heading out to New Zealand would be a tough game. So based on that, I think we'll just have enough to get over the line.
Yep.
Score prediction, I'm going to agree with you and say it's going to be a fairly close and low-scoring game. Probably maybe a try difference, so 6 points, like 24-18, something around there. As for a try scorer, I think we're going to see Lachie Galvin cross for his second try of the season this week.
Ooh, right. And I just want to point out about as well as a bit of stat here in regards to this game. Actually, we played 37 times, and the Tigers have won 16 and the Warriors have won 21. So there's not much in the head-to-head stats. And of
One of
course,
our
that
closer
last meeting,
matchups.
yeah, they've been pretty close matchups over the years, and I know the Warriors tend to have a. I don't think our record at Campbelltown's that great either. In terms of we ever played you guys at Campbelltown or Leichhardt Oval, we don't seem to be able to get up and get wins there. So I know we when we've had Hooters in the past like the Dragons, we've struggled to beat the Dragons in the Gong. There's quite a few records like that. We've not been able to go over and get the results, and we broke that record a couple of years ago, I think. But yeah, the last meeting we actually played you guys was it was last year. It was round 21. It was the Warriors won that 28 points to 16, so that was quite close-ish game as well throughout it.
Yep, we made
We
a little
managed
bit of a
to,
late comeback in that game after you guys got off
yeah,
to a good start, but we just couldn't get over the
yeah,
line on that one.
yeah, yeah, and Daldridge is saying I may also pick the winner by look at the local conditions. Who may have niggles, travel workload, tackles made. Some teams look tired in the second half of the weekend. Yeah, that's a good point. Jacko's also saying Waz by 8. And Jazz is saying same Jacko. Appy's one of my favourite players. But don't enjoy watching him as much when we're versing his team. Yeah, well,
He's one of those players you
he's
can't hate, but you just have to love him and what
mm,
he's able to do on a footy field. You just don't want to
yeah.
see it when he's playing against your team because he's able to towel you up if you're not careful.
Yes, and this is the same with a lot of players. That always seem to, they always have big games against the Warriors. You love them as a neutral, but when they play against you, you just hate playing them. Because they always get the water over you. Especially like last week, Manly and Cherry Evans and Tommy Trbojevic. Vossi was bringing up a stat about Tommy Trbojevic scoring a try first and. Oh, it was not the previous week. Sorry, the previous week when we played Manly, but in the Roosters as well. We've always had not the greatest of records, and we broke that record. By finally getting one over them, which it was a long time between drinks. But I'm going to go Warriors. Yeah, Warriors to win for me. Of course, I'm backing the boys in here, backing my side, and I'm going to go Warriors. 20. I'm going to go 24 points to the Tigers 18. Yeah, 24 to
So
18.
basically the opposite score that I said. So I mean
Yes.
that'll be an interesting game then. One of us will be right about the winner, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, well, hopefully it is a real close game. It's not one sided the other way or one side the other, but I'm hoping it's a close game. It's a good contest. But yeah, try scorers. I'm gonna back in Leah Tower to score because he scored 2 tries last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll back him in again, Leah Tower. And why not throw Wade Egan to score a try? Yeah, why not Wade Egan from dummy half?
What if you had to
Some
pick one Tiger to score as well? Who would you pick from the Tigers? Who do you think will score against you?
Oh, I think it'd be Taruva. I think it'd be Sunia Taruva because look at some. So it'd be a winger. It'd be a winger, and I think Sunia
5 tries
Taruva
in his
probably
last
be.
2 games for Taruva, so I think
Yeah.
that's a pretty good shout.
Mm, yeah. Well, he's one of those players you got to watch out for because once he finds that chalk, he's hard to stop. From that sort of range. So I think Buller as well is another player. That could be a threat for the Warriors defensively if he's on song as well
Mm-hmm.
there. So. Yeah, just going through your comments again before wrapping it up. So yeah, look, Aaron. There's a question here for Tay saying, Aaron, what is the name of your YouTube channel?
So I'm from the West Tigers Life podcast. We've recently changed our name for
Right,
this season.
West
So
Tigers Life.
if you head over there, give us a follow or a subscribe. what we put out each week. So we do a Wednesday night live stream where all of us are together and we review our previous game and preview our following game. We've also started recently doing a post-game reactions clip or video for our home games, where after our home game we'll go and chat to some of the fans who are at the game and get their thoughts and opinions. And just a couple of weeks ago for our away games this year, we've started doing live reaction streams, and those have been a bit of fun, especially the one we did on Saturday against the Dolphins. There's the long version of it, which has been uploaded, and there's also a highlight version. I lost my voice a little bit on Saturday night, so I'm glad it's come back by now. But it was a really fun night, or really fun evening, and yeah, definitely worth having a watch if you like seeing a few blokes go absolutely mad about their football team.
Oh yeah, it's always when you do those reactions, they're always a bit of a joy, a bit of a roller coaster sort of ride with the your emotions intact there. But yeah, I see you guys are starting to do that now, so that's great bit of work there. But yeah, look, to Jackie's just saying in regards to Luai's going to be in for a real breakout game. He could be in for a real breakout game there. And Taki's saying here, excellent, Aaron. And Deldridge is saying here, Warriors 36, Tigers 8. Okay, that's an interesting.
That's a bit of a bold prediction. I don't think I like that one.
No, but I'd like it. But yeah, I'd hope so. But I don't think it'd be that comfortable if we were winning. It'll be a close scoreline, if albeit. And Appy and Luai to score late. That's what he's going with.
So he's going 36-0, and then we get 2 late unconverted tries. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'd like us to do a little bit better than that.
Yeah, but I think that pretty much wraps it up there. Aaron, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate giving your time up to jump on and preview the game. And look, all the best to your boys this weekend. But all the best to your boys for the rest of the season. Good luck to your Tigers there. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, same to you, mate. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to this one. Obviously, we've got a rematch in New Zealand later in the season, so that'll be good fun as well. But yeah, good luck to your boys as well. And I hope we see both the Tigers and the Warriors in the finals later on this year. That would be quite something.
Oh yes, well that'd be good because we can see Warriors and Tigers in the finals and not the same usual teams that we always see in there every year.
Exactly, something different. Shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, it gets a bit boring seeing the same old teams like the Roosters and the old those teams.
Yeah, knock the Panthers out. Give someone else a go.
Yeah. But thanks, Aaron, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Thanks to all the viewers for watching live and interacting in the chat. It's always good to see all the comments, the usual suspects in the chat. And it's going to be a real good game on Sunday. Looking forward to it. Hopefully our boys get the win. But make sure you don't forget, guys, like the live stream if you haven't done so. Make sure you click the thumbs up on the live stream. Go and subscribe to the West Live Pod, the West Tigers. Is it West?
Yep. So West Tigers Life.
Tigers Life podcast. Right. West Tigers Life. There. Newly named there. So go and subscribe to those guys. They do a great job. So go and check them out there. But thanks everyone for watching. And we will see you. I'll see you all again tomorrow night for another live stream. Have a good one. Up the Waz.
Go the Tigers.